Are you saddened by the thought of winter coming and not being able to ride your bike for the next 3 or 4 months? Well, I have the solution to that. You see, I've been going to Florida for the last 18 years to ride my motorcycle during Daytona Beach Bike Week. I say Florida because there is so much more than just Daytona. All the way from St. Augustine down to Key West, and don't forget the Gulf Coast and in between. In this video, I'm going to explain to you when the process of planning starts, where to go, where to ride, what to bring, what to do, and how to do it. So let's get on with the video. Hey, how you doing? This is Bronx Brothers Motorcycles and my name is Richie. And as previously stated on this video today, I'm going to explain to you how I plan for a trip to Daytona Beach Bike Week each year. I've been doing it for 18 years now. I am the one that does all the planning. I plan the routes, I plan the stays, we even plan restaurants. And the greatest thing of all is we get away from the cold and we put our knees in the breeze. Well, I think it needs some explaining that Daytona Beach Bike Week is so much more than just Daytona. You see, we ride all over the state. There are so many good rides to do out there in warm weather. If you've ever been to Florida in the summertime, it's miserable. It's way too hot. This is the perfect time of year to ride. Now I will say, at night it does get cool, sometimes even cold. So, you have to bring all your winter gear as well as your summer gear. In the daytime it could be in the 80s. Sometimes you get a little shower. Few minutes, then it dries up and off you go, and you're in a t-shirt for the rest of the day. Once the sun goes down, it might get cool. The further south you go, you won't need that jacket, or maybe you'll just need a light jacket. Now every year we spend at least 3 days in Key West. That is our destination. That is like the highlight of the trip. Why? Because out there we're in short pants and flip-flops just walking around having a good time. If you've never been to Key West, it's kind of like being in the Caribbean or the tropics. Each year we rent a house, so-called Airbnb. Usually we cook breakfast and lunch at the house and eat dinner out. So between 4, 5, 6 guys, we share the rent, we share the food, and we have a great time. There's a lot to do in Key West. You could go snorkeling, you could rent a boat, sightseeing, history. Shucks, last year we jumped out of a plane. We went skydiving. That was a blast. If you like seafood, Key West has some of the best in the country. We have a favorite Cuban restaurant that we like to go to. Also, we've been to Maine to have a lobster roll, but I tell you what, there's a place in Key West right across the street from Sloppy Joe's, and that's our go-to place each year. Well, I hope all of that information has gotten you ready to plan your trip to Florida. So let me explain. So, right now is the beginning of November. We have just rented a house in Key West for our stay in early March. It's actually March 3rd. We're going to be there 3 days. We do that each year. The longer you wait, the less availability there is. You get slim pickings. Prices go up. So, we usually start looking for houses, believe it or not, as early as September or October. This year we're a little bit behind the 8 ball. But nevertheless, we found a nice house and we're in. Price we found? Very reasonable. Comparable to last year's. So we're good. So if you're considering going to Daytona Beach Bike Week, maybe you're considering going to Miami, St. Augustine, wherever, the time is now to make your rentals in Daytona Beach Bike Week, in Key West, Orlando, Tampa, those other areas, Miami. You're not going to have a problem finding a room. There's 2 places you're going to have a problem finding the room, and I just mentioned them. Daytona Beach and Key West. Other than that, you should be fine. Now I'll give you a little insider tip. We never stayed in Daytona. The rooms are outrageous. The prices are crazy. Availability is terrible. We head south on 95 for 44 minutes. There's a town called Titusville. You get off the exit, and there is a Wyndham, there is a Days Inn. They have various hotels there. The prices are significantly cheaper, at least by half. And it's only 44 minutes away. You're on a motorcycle, you're there to ride. Why stay in Daytona and pay twice as much? That's what we've done many times, and we never found it to be an inconvenience. So, get with your riding buddies, pick a date, figure out when you're going to be riding down, and reserve your rooms. Now, what's the next step? How are you going to get there? If you're in the extreme north or on the other side of the country, some people are diehards, they're going to ride. We don't ride. We're 12 hours away. Now, a lot of times when it's time to go down, the weather could be great. The thing is, we never know what to expect to come back up. And we like to make the best use of our time when we're there. So, we trailer. My brother and I have been trailering for many years. We have cousins who come from further up north than us, about 6 hours further up north, and they trailer as well. Now, when we first started out, we started out with 2 bikes in a pickup truck. As time has passed, we have moved up and purchased a trailer. Trailer comes in handy for other things, but the main purpose of that trailer is to take our bikes to Daytona each year. We've been doing it so long, we know we need that trailer. Now, like I said before, if you're a diehard and you want to ride, hey, more power to you. We choose not to. Anyhow, so that's how you're going to get down there. If you've never been, I hope that at least you're considering, how am I going to make this happen? You have to start now. The first year I went by myself. I had a pickup truck and I had a sport bike. I put my sport bike on the back of the pickup and I went. And the following year, my brother and my cousin went with me. And it's become a tradition where we go every year. And now we have other family members who have joined in. So it's usually 5, 6, 7 of us riding. We have a great old time. So moving on. What is there to do in Daytona? Now, some of you may say, well, I'm not the biker type. I'm not the leather vest and this and that. That's not what Daytona is. Daytona is for everybody. There's a lot of Goldwings, there's sport bikes, there's everything there. Are there Harley Davidsons? Yes, of course there's Harley Davidsons. But Daytona is open to everybody. I would say even more so than Sturgis. So, the Speedway is one of the main attractions. If you like looking at motorcycles and everything motorcycle, there's helmets, there's all types of vendors. So Shoei's going to be there. Bell Helmets is going to be there. Honda Motorcycles is going to be there. Yamaha. All the motorcycle manufacturers, they're going to be there. You can try their new motorcycles. All you have to do is present the driver's license and have a helmet. And you can test ride whatever bike you like. So the Speedway, number 1 attraction in my book. Main Street, that's number 2. Everybody has to ride through Main Street, and you actually ride through, and there's people on each side. If you've ever seen a video or pictures of Daytona Beach Bike Week, you most likely have seen Main Street. And it's a must-do. It's like anything else, that it's one of those things that you have to do it to say, hey, I went there and I did it. To be honest with you, that's where all the bars are. They have a lot of shops. They sell t-shirts, everything and anything motorcycle. It amazes me that that whole street, and it's pretty long, is dedicated to everything motorcycles. Number 3 most popular destination in Daytona is actually called Destination Daytona. But it's not in Daytona, it's in Ormond Beach, which is just north, probably 5 miles up on 95. That place is humongous. Again, everything motorcycles. They have a band, they got dealers there, they sell all types of motorcycles. Again, manufacturers of performance products, everything and anything motorcycle related. JP Cycles has a big store there. So if you happen to have problems with your motorcycle, you go there and you can pick up a part. It's a humongous store. Now, if you want to stay in the Daytona area, and there's nothing wrong with that, and see everything that is available motorcycles wise, Google Daytona Beach Bike Week and see all the events. Daytona actually has a website and they have a listing of everything that is happening. They have many bike shows, they have speakers at hotels, popular motorcycle builders or maybe racers or people like that you might be interested. One year we went to the small local airport and they had what they call the wing ding. And back then I had a gold wing and it was everything gold wings. It was pretty neat. You can get parts there, everything gold wing. It was amazing. It was really cool. So based on what bike you have, you may find something that's to your liking. Now, there's also a part of town that is what I'll call Black Bike Week, and I'll tell you the area. It's Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard, but it's not only for black people, it's for everybody. The bikes that they have there are like you can't even imagine. Like there's some high dollar custom bikes there with some high dollar stereos. Everybody's cool. I've been there. It's a really nice place to go and you just get a different perspective. They have their own little niche, if you will, and it's a great place to visit and just see something different. So everything I just mentioned, there's a lot of walking. It's basically you ride there, you park, and you walk. All the places that I just mentioned. But let's say I just want to ride. That's what I came here for. That's what I'm in Florida for. That's what I left the cold for. I want to get on my bike and ride for many miles. Because I tell you what, sometimes it amazes me. I'm like, people that go to Daytona, they probably put 300 miles on their bike in a week. Because everything is right there. They're just back and forth. That's not me. I want to put some miles on my bike. So now, what nice roads do they have around there? Let me tell you, they have some really nice roads. Now, don't get it twisted here. We're not talking Tail of the Dragon. Nice scenic routes is what we're talking about. I will say, first and foremost, you can go up to St. Augustine. St. Augustine is a very old fort in the United States, built around 1672 by the Spaniards. And the best thing is, because it's not summertime, it's not going to be jam-packed. But the question is, how are you going to get there? What's the scenic route I'm going to take to get there? From Daytona Beach, you're going to jump on A1A. A1A is going to take you all the way up north to St. Augustine. Now, A1A is not the fastest road, but it is a nice coastal road. One of the nicer roads in Florida along the beach. There's plenty of places to stop and get some food. It's just relax. Check out the ocean as you're riding by, all the palm trees. It's a beautiful, nice cruise up to St. Augustine. St. Augustine itself, very nice town. They have plenty of restaurants, and the fort itself is the main attraction. It's a must-do. Also from Daytona, the Ormond Scenic Loop. Check that one out. Now, being that you're on YouTube, you can check out what are the best motorcycle rides in the Daytona area. Also, there's a website, Great Motorcycle Roads. That guy does some awesome videos of great roads throughout the United States, and I know for a fact that he has one of Florida, so check him out. So what is there to do outside of the Daytona area and St. Augustine, as I just mentioned? I want to go elsewhere. I want to go to Tampa. I want to go to Miami. I want to go around the state. How am I going to get there? Where am I going to stay? Where am I going to eat? What am I going to do in those places? From the Daytona area, Orlando is just 1 hour away. There's a lot of attractions in Orlando. If you go on Facebook, check out Orlando Kissimmee Bike Nights. That'll tell you a bunch of motorcycle events that they have going on in Orlando in the evening. Also, there's a lot of attractions in Orlando, as we all know. There's other stuff than Disney and Paramount. There's also SeaWorld. There's a bunch of stuff to do. They have glass boat kayaking. They have just about anything you're looking for. That, I would say, is the tourist destination of the East Coast. I would say that has the most high-quality destinations. So do a Google search and see exactly what you want to do. Maybe you want to go shopping. Maybe there's a special restaurant you want to visit in that area. Like I said, from Daytona, just 1 hour away, and there's a lot to do. Now there's Tampa. Tampa is 2 hours and 15 minutes away from Daytona. Now, you're still within the Daytona area. If you're staying in Titusville, you're still in the Titusville area. So, you can still use the original room that you rented. Whatever days you're planning on riding, you can always head back to either one of those two, Daytona or Titusville, and these rides are not so far that you can't get back by the evening. Tampa has a lot to offer. Now, I will say, Tampa, in my opinion, has more of a nightlife. Yes, they do have Busch Gardens, they do have some daytime stuff, but in my experience, we go there for the night. And there's a place called Ybor City. It's spelled Y-B-O-R City. So what does Ybor City have to offer? Ybor City's more of a nightlife. They do have some good Cuban coffee spots. They have some good cigar bars. They have some places where you can swirl your cognac or bourbon. They have places with music and dancing and anything nightlife. That's where you go, Ybor City. So, if you are going there in the evening, you may just want to rent a room in that area rather than head back to Daytona or Titusville, especially if you plan on having a drink or two. So here's where it gets interesting. We normally rent a room in Tampa. The next morning we get up and we ride down 75. 75 hugs the Gulf Coast. It's a pretty nice ride. Be prepared to put some miles in this day. Ride all the way down Route 75, and then we take one of two roads, either Alligator Alley or Route 41. Alligator Alley is a long straightaway. It cuts from the west coast all the way to the east coast, puts you right at Miami. Route 41, on the other hand, rides just above the Everglades. This is a 2-lane highway. You're cutting through some very rural areas near the Everglades. You're going to see a lot of people fishing. The first time I ever saw a sign for beware of leopards or wildcats was in this area. That is a really nice ride. I suggest one year you do one and the following year you do the other. They're both very cool. Once on the other side, you're going to be in Miami. Now, everybody knows of South Beach in Miami. I will say in that area, pretty cool. You've been riding all day. Good time to get out and walk. Walk the South Beach Strip. Also, they have a lot of nice restaurants in the area. Again, if you like having a drink or two, they have a lot of places to have a drink or two. You can sit kind of outside and just look at the people walk by. I really like Miami. Every year we go to one of our favorite restaurants down there. Now I want you to know that all of these places I'm telling you, you have to do a Google search for what you want to do, for the stuff that you like, the types of food that you like. Now maybe you're thinking, I'm going to be in Daytona or I'm going to be in Titusville, but I would like to check out Miami. It's 4.5 hours away from both Daytona or Titusville, so it's not that very far. It can be a day trip if you start early. Now at this point you've been in Florida a few days. You're starting to get some color. I will tell you, make sure you wear some sunblock. Ask me how I know, especially if you're riding south. The sun is coming right at you. One year I rode without a helmet through the Keys, and when I got to the other end, yeah, I was burnt. Never do that again. Sun protection, very important. Now, something that we do every year is we go from Tampa, we stop in Miami, and then our next day is going to be in the Florida Keys. So what we do that evening, when we're in Miami, we head south about an hour to either Florida City or Homestead. Be sure and book your room early that day. You don't have to book it days in advance, but do book it that day. Early. Early is best. From there, we wake up in the morning and we're headed to the Keys. Now we're in paradise. I tell you what, temperatures have changed dramatically now. The scenery has changed dramatically. The color of the water, like the Caribbean or the tropics. I tell you, you're in another world once you're in the Keys. Distance from Homestead, Florida to Key West is going to be between 4 and 5 hours. I'll tell you one thing. Do not speed through the Keys. Whatever the speed limit is, stick to it. Maybe 5 miles over, and that's about it. If cars in front of you are not going faster, especially when you're cutting through towns, do not go over the posted speed limit. Now, what are you going to do when you get to Key West? Well, again, you're going to have to Google it because there is a lot to do. And some of the best things to do is nothing at all. I will say, watching the sunset at Mallory Park is one of the highlights of the trip. So maybe you want to go from Daytona to Key West. That ride right there is pretty much an all-day ride. What I mean by that is you're going to get there with enough time to get your house, get settled in, go out for dinner, and pretty much that's one day. Because traffic, especially cutting through Miami, can be horrific. So if you are going to do that ride, I would say get up early, leave Daytona or Titusville early, and head to the Keys. Now, I don't want to make it seem like it's doom and gloom. It's going to be an enjoyable ride, but it will take you a long time. It's an all-day trip. It's not like us leaving from Homestead. When we get there, we still have time to do things. We get there around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, be sure when you're leaving the Keys that you leave early. Leave before 10 a.m. It's important because once you hit the Miami area, there will be traffic going up. It's frustrating. Ask me how I know. It's happened to us many times, but we learned. So now we leave early. So at the beginning of this video, I told you I was going to tell you everything about planning for a ride to what's called Daytona Beach Bike Week. We call it Florida Bike Week. Anyhow, I told you when the planning starts, which is right now. Where to go, I told you that. What are the best roads? I told you our best roads. Like I said earlier, make sure that you go on YouTube and do some searches for the best roads in Florida. So, there are plenty of them. I told you ours. What to do? I told you what we like to do. Again, do a Google search. Whatever area you're in Florida. This is vacation land. There's plenty to do if you look it up. And finally, what to bring. As far as gear, bring everything. Reminds me of the movie. Bring everyone! Anyhow, bring everything. Bring your rain gear, bring your cold gear, bring your hot weather gear. Bring everything. And you're going to enjoy yourself. People don't plan to fail. People fail to plan. And that's what this video is all about. Now, I really hope that I motivated you to go to Florida this coming February 28th. It's the 84th annual Daytona Beach Bike Week. Imagine that. 84 years, that's pretty impressive. Anyhow, this is the one. This is the one you need to come to if you haven't come yet. I hope that you enjoyed the video and you learned something. And like I said, I really hope that you all come. Now, I put a lot of effort into this video in sharing my years of experience going to Daytona Beach Bike Week. I hope that warrants you giving me a like, and even better is subscribing to my channel. This is the kind of content I put out. I put content about touring, all types of motorcycles, gear reviews, parts reviews, part installations. If you don't know, I own a few bikes, and they are the stars of this channel. Me, not so much. I just work here. Anyhow, you all take care. Watch out with the crazy people on the roads. And I will catch you on the next one. Hopefully in Florida. Adios.